to these great volunteers who are with me today. Over 15,000 signatures that we've collected from every county in the state of Wisconsin. From all 72 counties, we've collected over 15,000 signatures. I think that is yet another sign. After a busy weekend, we were out represented at over 150 different parades celebrating Independence Day weekend all across the state of Wisconsin, from one end of the state to the other. This is a fitting into that we're declaring our independence from the mess we have here in the state capitol. And I think the fact that we've got over 15,000 people who signed our nomination papers is really a symbol of that kind of enthusiasm for the campaign. I think it reflects the polls we've seen lately, but more importantly, it reflects what I see and hear from the people all across this state. So we're thrilled to turn this in. Again, for us, it's just a small symbol of the hard work we put into this campaign and the hard work, even harder work we're going to put in to getting the state turned around after the November 2nd elections. You guys got questions?
We're a couple months away.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the key difference between now and the primary?
I think in the end, the more people look at what each of the candidates have to offer, and the fact that if you were hiring a new candidate to run a CEO of a company, the best person would be someone who's led a similar company under similar circumstances. If you look at our background, no candidate, Republican or Democrat alike, has faced circumstances more like what the next governor will inherit in terms of tough budgets, tough times, difficult challenges, and done it the way we have in terms of cutting our debt, reducing the size of the government workforce, improving our bond rating, having a surplus, and doing it without proposing tax increases. Those are the things I think the people want out of the next governor. We've shown, Democrat or Republican, there's nobody else who's done what we've done.
It's interesting you're using the CEO analogy because Mark Newman has consistently said, I'm the small business owner versus the politicians.
Right.
I mean, do you have to put this in terms of business to the people?
I think in the end, the key question, though, is if you're asking someone to run a multi-billion-dollar organization, be it a business or a government, do you want someone who's done something like that before? I run a state or a county government right now that has over $1 billion budget, and we've done our best to reduce the size of spending there, to control that budget, to do it without proposing tax increases, to cut the debt, reduce the size of the government workforce, propose real reforms in our pension or retirement costs. Those are the sorts of things the next governor is going to have to do, not only to get this next budget under wrap, but more importantly to help the people of the state create more jobs here in Wisconsin.
Sheriff Clark is turning the jail into a boot camp style. What do you think of that idea?
I think anything that has the possibility of making sure that people don't return to a cycle of crime is worth pushing and worth looking at. And I think Sheriff Clark has showed, just like a number of other key sheriffs across the state, that Democrat or Republican alike, they can do a good job if given the opportunity to do so.
Did people do any venting to you about the smoking ban over the holiday weekend?
Most folks were just talking about the weather. Whether it was raining when I was in Minocqua or it was hot in Oshkosh and Wauwatosa and Racine yesterday, people were talking about the weather, enjoying their family, their friends, enjoying Independence Day, and if anything, there's a lot of cheering telling us they can't wait until we take office because they know that the help's on the way.
Some of the private clubs that we talked to yesterday said they're already looking for exemptions for themselves for next year. Would you sign something like that as governor?
Well, in principle, my view has been that I don't think the governor should have been involved in this decision in the first place. But I think it's still pretty premature for us to talk about anything, seeing as it's just one day in. But on principle, I'm not a smoker. I like not being in a place that's full of smoke. But on principle, I don't think the government should be telling these establishments or anybody else what they should or shouldn't do.
Last question. Anybody else?
Scott, you and Mark Newman were both recently endorsed by Pro-Life Wisconsin, which among its positions includes opposition to all forms of birth control. Some Democrats are saying, this shows that you're out of the mainstream. Do you agree with them on that position?
No. The bottom line is I've been pro-life. We'll be pro-life again in the future. And I think our position, if you look at the latest polling out there, even nationally, shows the majority of Americans identify themselves as pro-life.
But do you agree with that specific part of their platform?
I'd have to look at the specifics on which part they're talking about. But again, my position in the legislature has been consistently pro-life.
Do you oppose condoms?
What's that?
Do you oppose condoms?
Well, to me, that's not a position of the government.
Okay. If you guys want